What do you know about the origins of Mohbad and Naira Marley's encounter and how the artists got into Malian music?
Yeah. It's one of these boys that are from the trenches. He's documented some of those things in several interviews he's done. I believe he also spoke during the episode of The Truth with the OG Olisa Adibwa, the one where Zenolisky had this British accent, the one that I got from Agege. And there was also on his debut EP, which is, I think people are sleeping on that EP, by the way. That's a fantastic EP. He spoke about, on the song titled Holy, which is a ridiculously good song. He spoke about how he's from the hood, how he used to collect weed from a guy named Diara, how he met Naira, how Naira changed his life, stuff like that. And it was in 2019 that we started hearing rumors about Naira Marley floating a label. Zlatan floated his label, like, was it before or after? I think it was before. Where he announced Obez, Papi Snoop, Jamu Piper, and some other people. So we've been hearing, before then, Naira Marley released LOL. And around that time, he did the record, Obembe, LO. Baby Kingsway did the record, some records at the time. He did the record Mohbad before then as well. But it was at the show on December 30 or 31st, 2019, that he announced the signing of Naira Marley, Zenolisky, Mohbad, this boy that has fantastic voice, I can't remember his name.
Lighter.
No, Lighter was a little later. This guy that has a fantastic voice, his voice is so something blue, Fabian Blue, and another person that he announced the signing of those guys, and it was quite interesting. But Zenolisky, Mohbad then released one song just before the lockdown. There were one or two more songs that I released before lockdown. One of them was really good, but it never blew up. I remember I was released on a Friday. I can still remember when I played that song on Audiomack. And then where everything changed, the collaboration with Rexy, KPK. I think that's easily, if you're going to rank the top 10 songs, Nigerian songs, steps of impact over the past 3 to 4 years, I think KPK is going to make top 10. That was where everything really changed. Everything looked very good, and to be honest, it felt like Malian music was moving nice. I remember that we even did a Faxon episode in 2020 where we canvassed whether they were the hottest label in the game. And we talked about like producers they've been able to make happen, from Rexy to what's his name again? The hottest Nigerian producer of last year. Nif Keys. Where we spoke about a lot of those things. So everything looked to be good. Everything appeared to be good, fantastic, and moving smoothly. I remember this is basically trying to get both of those guys for an event last year, Zeno and Mohbad, and some of the money that they were calling, the way they appeared to me from the person I called, everything looked fantastic. Like you could see that there was like a rapport, maybe. That was what I thought at the time anyway. Apparently it wasn't the same.
So how did the affairs seem to you early 2022?
The affairs seemed good, but they had been, obviously, Zenolisky had Mohbad had a fantastic 2021. Coming off KPK, he had on God, then he had another song, then he had he had those records that were really good records. Even though it was one of those records that really blew up, it was in the conversations at the end of last year. His EP that he released in 2020, he released the EP in December 2020, but the impact of the EP really came in January, in the first half of 2021. So everything seemed really good, really fantastic until recently, much more recently.
So would you say Mohbad has slowed down in recent times?
I would say so, yes. Let's not lie to ourselves. The rumor started when around in Q4 last year or early this year was when I started hearing rumblings through the cracks about a possible division in the house. Apparently there were differences around creative direction, but at the time I couldn't confirm anything. You can't write something that is not factual. Just because someone tells you something as a journalist doesn't mean you go say it, because you're risking a lawsuit. There are differences over creative direction. You would notice that some of the singles that they were releasing were sounding very similar. Apparently that's not the fault of the artist, that's possibly the fault of the label and the direction that the label saw that they could go. And to be honest, creative directions and creative direction and the fact that creative freedom, the type of direction the artist sees and what the label is saying, two different things. They did sign the contract. That's much more what I've been able to confirm, but I can't confirm the strict details of the contract because I've not seen the contract. So they did sign the contract, and the artists and labels at the label were having differences, and it got to a level where the artist felt there had been a breach of terms in terms of what they agreed on and what the label should be doing for him. Once again, there are two perspectives when it comes to expectations and reality. What does the terms of the contract say? Is it a fundamental term? Is it a covenant that the label agreed to fulfill in the contract? And is this something that you normally even expect from the label without even, there are some things that are assumed by law in terms of a contract between an artist and a label. Is this something that is assumed? So we can't know until we actually check the contract. But what we do know is that the artist started saying that he wanted to leave. That was what the problem really started.
So how did things start to go howling?
You remember the first time that this happened was like in March or April, was it? When there was a video, Mohbad came on social media and recorded a video of himself, said that they wanted to kill him, that if he dies, that they should blame Naira Marley and Marlian music.
Shortly after they were arrested.
Yeah, shortly after they were arrested. When it came out, everybody thought, what I've been able to gather from that situation, they said it was high at the time. To be honest, a lot of people, including myself at the time, thought it was because it's a label. All of you seem like family. But later, like a few weeks later, when I found out that wasn't the case. Marlian came out and said it was high. And I've also, on the day that the last issue happened, there was a guy that came on social media. I think the account was, I can't remember the name of the account now, where he said that, was saying that he was accusing the label of giving people MDMA. I think the account was 6ix, where the person kept banging on about MDMA issues and the fact that the person had to go to a psychiatric hospital and some of these other things. Yeah, I have some evidence as regards that, which I like on Twitter. The person actually said it. And then that they had to go to psychiatric hospital, so that it affected their younger brother, all of those things. But what I also gathered from some of my sources is when Mohbad wasn't high on that particular day, that he felt like his life was threatened. He felt like he couldn't get out of the situation that he needed to get out of, and some other situations.
So was he really beaten by the members of the Marlian music at the Marlian house?
Allegedly. He alleged that he was beaten. We have not heard the accounts of the other side. What we gather from this, what he has said, or what I've also gathered from sources is, in particular situations, he said that he wanted to change his manager, but the conversations about leaving the label have been going for a while. And what I've gathered is the artist actually has his own plans that he wanted to follow through with, but that the label was reluctant to let him go. It also caused a lot of rancor. From his side, he says he was beaten, and I think he also said that he was stabbed. I believe that was part of the case.
It showed
that it was
blood.
It was stabbed, or he was injured with a sharp object or thereabouts. That some people in the house, that it's very hard to have conversations like that with someone in the house, but that's only his perspective. I'm not the perspective of the label. Naira Marley has not explicitly come out to issue a statement. He has not said anything, so we don't know. It's simply his word against Naira Marley. So that's it.
So why did Naira Marley say that Mohbad was high from the situation?
Maybe it was. We don't know. But from what I have gathered, people said it wasn't high. But if that is the case that he wasn't, then it was possibly a situation of Naira Marley doing risk management, crisis management, to avert the situation, to divert attention for what the conversation actually was, and hoping to actually maybe douse the situation so that his artist can come back. Because let's be honest, that boy has star potential. He has star quality. He's tall, he's lanky, he can make music, he can rap, he can talk, he has range, he can do everything. So you can understand why you would not want to let an asset like that go. Especially since, look at his last album, for example. The deal that he got for that, he's probably looking to get the same thing for his artist and looking to cut something off. It's a business. So you have to actually look. If you have a prized asset, you have to try to keep the prized assets. You don't try to let them go. Especially one that is willing to work and one that's willing to get, and one that is very, very young. I think this boy is still under 25, I think. Maybe 25 years old. So it's something. So it was definitely trying to down the situation. And to be honest, you have to understand it. You have to understand.
So how true are the accounts of what played out on social media recently?
Once again, it was the account of Mohbad that we heard. And we saw a letter that was written. Pulse obtained a letter that was written by Mohbad's team, legal team, to Marlian Entertainment and Marlian Music, addressed to Naira Marley directly about like the accounts of what had transpired. Some of the things that they alleged in the document were that, number one, that Naira Marley that he has not received a dime in royalties since 2019. That he has also, that because of this and because of a bunch of other things, a lot of people can check them out. And I believe that as we are talking about this, the editors of this video will put the document front and center of this, that is trying to terminate the contract with the label. So going by what we see and going by what has now become a legal proceeding with a legal document sent to this label, what I've gathered is that the label has not said anything. That label has not said anything. That even though people have been trying to reach out to Naira Marley, that Naira Marley is saying that it's not in capacity to actually have that conversation right now. That's what I've gathered. And there's been no rejoinder or a counterclaim from Naira Marley's legal team that just that's the part where I don't get. Because if a legal proceeding has been instituted against you to let one of your prized assets go, the least you can do is have your legal team actually reach out. That's anyhowness in a way. It shows that you don't. If that is the case, then I wonder how they conduct legal affairs in house. You understand? If a public thing like that has been instituted against you for like maybe like 2 weeks or a little over a week, and there's been no concrete statement from you or your team, then I don't understand. It's either one, you don't care about the concept of a legal proceeding, or two, you simply don't feel like it's enough for you to have a conversation. Maybe because you know what you have in the contract and you know that the parties cannot terminate the terms of the contract by just that termination. So it's one of those two things. I don't know what it is, because all members of Marlian Music have refused to speak on this. If you called any of them, even if they pick up their phone, they're saying that there's nothing to say about this right now.
So what has since happened on Mohbad's side?
What?
What has happened on Mohbad's side since this development started?
So the intention to terminate is the number one document that we've seen in terms of this. That we've seen in terms of this conversation. It's the overriding document. It's gone from what is being said on social media and Twitter threads. I mean, Twitter threads is, even in courts, it's electronically generated evidence. So if you have to lay proper foundation first, you are going to present it in court. And when it comes down to it, if you're not careful, it will go down to circumstantial evidence. If someone could prove that it was just inspired by emotion, for example. So you might not be able to actually tender it and actually use it in court. So it's gone beyond just Twitter threads and claims on Twitter and people ranting about with feelings. Now it's come to someone actually typing something out and sending it. It's a different ballgame entirely now. Totally different. But what I would like to do is I would like to see the terms of the contract. One, to be able to, before anybody can say anything. Again, because once again, is it a fundamental term in the contract does this fundamental term in the contract specify a revenue split in terms of royalties? What does it say about other types of royalties? Mechanical royalties? What does it say about performance royalties and all of these other things? What does it even say about who owns the publishing? Some of these things. What does the contract say? Only the contract can let us know what is going on here. If you have not seen the contract, it's going to be difficult for anybody to have a conversation. But it's unsettling that the Marlian Music side has still not said anything. It's very, very unsettling. We should be able to say something.
So does Mohbad's claim warrant a breach of contract?
Again, terms of the contract. You have to go back to the terms of the contract. But usually, it will be abhorrent. It will be very, very abhorrent if a contract for an artist, between an artist and a label was signed and there was no space for a revenue split in terms of royalties. It's unlikely. It's not possible. And this boy, with the way the industry is right now, the way the industry is set up, I know some songs that are making a healthy 6 figures in dollars per quarter. You understand? Yeah. Some songs that you probably wouldn't even think about that are making. So that's why these days label artists are very particular about the types of contracts that they negotiate, because they know that even if a lot of people are not feeling it on ground, some albums that we are calling trash and flop, they are generating upwards of 6 figures in dollars per quarter. So yes, that's a fact. So it's not conversations that you can have right now. So it means that at least if nothing has made any money for Mohbad, he needs to be on God would have made some money. Yeah. I mean, so that made some money that could have been remitted. So the question is, what are the terms? What's likely that would have happened that would have not made the label remit any money to him? It could be that the label is just maybe trying to exploit one, or two, maybe the label has signed a contract and they have licensed their royalties out. They're licensed that, and maybe the guy actually got an advance. Nobody knows. So we don't know the facts of this conversation. Nobody can see anything, but it's quite fishy. In normal parlance, that this guy has not received a dime in royalties from the label in the past years. It's weird. Let's be honest. It's absolutely weird. If he's not doing anything, he should be at least getting. He should have gotten at least one payment. At least I know they get paid per quarter. So if money is coming in per quarter, this guy should. I mean, there's also KPK, which is a smash by all accounts. But what I can't tell, I know it's Rexy and Mohbad. And I know Dapper distributed it. So what I don't know in this particular situation is where the money is going to, who is getting what. I can't say that for a fact. But it's on. If Mohbad is on the song, it means that Marlian music is somewhat involved. So those two songs at least must be making some money. If the guy has not received a dime from any of those money, then conversations need to be had about it. That's it.
So what do you think Naira Marley and Marlian record would have to say about this? Do you think they would like to use his mental capacity as an excuse again?
I don't think so. I don't think that can work now, because the first time that they were able to have that conversation, and it worked a little bit at the time. The media was actually kind of fooled. But people that were in-house later found out that wasn't the case. That didn't appear to be the case. It was alleged. I don't think that's going to work right now, because it's proven that the same thing has happened the second time, where you cannot use it again. You have used it the first time, can use it again the second time, because now it's not just the artist crying out. It's like members of the artist team. It's like other people who have an interest in the matter. It's like Bella Shmurda. Do you understand? Like it's people who appear to be close to the affairs of the matter that are actually speaking out about the issue. So it's gone beyond anything that anybody knows right now. So they definitely can't use it again. What needs to happen is that they have to come and address the issue on the point of the dispute. They have to address it. It's simple. Either they address it privately or they address it publicly. To be honest, I don't advise that these things go publicly. Public situations sort of aggravate situations. Public discourses, when the public is invested in the conversation, it aggravates it, because now maybe the label feels like they are being represented in a bad light, and maybe some people's fans are attacking them. Things can easily go right, because the label can say, okay, you know what, I don't want you to leave the contract. You are done. Now you are stuck. Do you understand? So I hope that they are able to address this in private, to be honest.
So does Marlian music have a record of this type of situation?
That's what a lot of people are saying. That's what some screenshots that I have appear to be saying, that a lot of people are not happy with their friends on the label. But again, those are allegations. The label has not spoken or had any conversation about that. What I've also realized in this game is that until you hear the part of the label, it will be dicey to make an absolute statement or an absolute judgment on this matter. It's better. For example, the last time I had any conversation on factually about situations like this was Bad Boy Teams and his label, Anonymous Records. And the only reason I was able to have a conversation is because I knew I had the privilege of obtaining what a contract looked like. I had the privilege of knowing the terms, agreements, and all those things. Until you have those information, until you have those facts, you can't address it. That's what I think.
So going by Mohbad's letter of termination, what does the contract say about situations such as this?
Once again, regular contracts that artists and labels sign, it specifies a bunch of things. These days, contracts have sort of improved, where you are able to negotiate certain things and negotiate higher rights. But ordinarily, if you were to sign in Nigeria, for example, the label is taking more of the risk than the artist. So it's unlikely that the artist is going to take priority because you don't have any leverage. You're coming from nothing. I'm the one that's putting all the money. I'm the one that's shooting all the videos. I'm the one that's paying for the style. I might buy you a house. I might buy you a car. I might pay your rent. All of these things, and I'm putting money in your pocket. So I'm bearing all the brunt of this thing. If it doesn't work, it's coming back to me. And sometimes if it works, I might still not recoup anything. Do you understand? Streaming has made it better because if the music spreads across different parts of the world, when tariffs are different, for example, I pay $900 here, people are paying $7 or $9 in foreign countries. The money might be higher, but so that means the way the contracts are stated, it's usually after you get your advance, it's revenue split, royalties in terms of in terms of rights and commercials. So it's a typical commercial situation it's usually split in favor of the label because the label is the one that's bearing on the brunt. The artist gets maybe sometimes 30-40%, depends on the terms of the contract. That's one. Number two, if you're smart enough and you're able to, it's unlikely that you're even able to own the publisher or anything that you release on the label. It's unlikely because it's usually a 360 deal. And that means I'm also earning from your performance royalties. Do you understand? So it's unlikely that the artist is going to, from what happens, I'm not saying that's what's happening in this particular case, from what is usually obtainable, that's usually what the case is. So in this particular situation, I can't seem to see the situation where the label has not paid anything. That's if it's unlikely that the label does not have any duty to pay him any royalties. It's unlikely. If the label has not paid anything, then that's a breach of term. Simple.
So what's likely to happen now?
What's likely to happen now? This thing could get really ugly. If before any legal proceedings have been instituted, there's already a record of violence. I don't know, man. I'm scared. I'm scared for both of them because this is not the 90s. You can't be stabbing people, bro. That's come on, man. You simply can't be using violence to solve things that conversations can solve. See, trust me. Like I said on the day that it happened, artists and label situations are very touchy. The truth is, I try as much as possible to walk eggshells around it because I'm not saying that's what it is in this particular situation, but artists in the past, in artist label situations, have been known to be the guilty party. But because they are artists and because they are quote unquote the lower party in terms of like the power dynamic, everybody thinks the public seems to always take the side of the artist. And it's usually very wrong because again, I just give a situation of you have no leverage, you have no money, I'm the one that's taking all the risk and I'm the one that's asking. I have to earn money from you. And then you sign the contract, except the contract was signed under duress or the terms are unfair or unequitable, then it's still that you sign the contract, I have fulfilled the terms of the contract. So when it comes down to it, don't get me wrong, there are some very, very dubious record labels in the sense of they are not giving you your money that you're due, and they are still telling you that out of the money that you're making, I have to deduct this, and when they now give you the money, it's like 10% of what should have gotten in the first place. So that's a problem. And there are also situations where the label is just, some label owners are just narcissistic. They don't understand the fact that someone wants to leave. That's some Suge Knight stuff, bro. That's some Suge Knight stuff. They can't process the fact that an artist just wants to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. You don't want the person to leave. There are situations like that. But ordinarily, I understand where the anger of a label might come from. Because if I put all this effort on you, I've paid all this money and I've not recouped anything, and you're telling me that you want to leave when you have a contract to sign, nigga, are you fucking crazy? Do you understand? Are you normal? Do you get? Like, if I have all of these things, but at the same time, if there are always better ways to handle it, because let's be honest with the label, if the artist's mind is not with you anymore, it's unlikely that you're going to make any. You can't compel quality from an artist except you can prove that the artist is actually down the tools. You get? So it's better to satisfy the labels, fulfill the end of the bargain. You have to fulfill the end of the bargain, and you make sure that your artist is happy as much as possible. That's why, for example, you must always give time to give space to negotiate terms of the contract to give the artist more leeway, more leverage, or else you are going to lose the artist. Drake didn't go back to Universal Music for $400 million. If he did, he's not going back if he didn't have certain guarantees because he now has power. If they still wanted to control how he was making his music, if they had their hands in like his majority of his commercials, he would not have gone back there. So right now, there are still ways to go about it. If the artist has a way, maybe he has like someone, an investor, or if he has like a label, a major that wants to sign him, or a label services company that wants to put money on the table, the way that you can do it so that everybody's going to be happy. For example, I don't even think court systems work in situations because they are slow, they are frustrating. You might be there for the next 3 years, your career is going down the drain, the label is not making any money. Find a way to come back. Okay, out of the money you are going to make over the next few years, I'm getting 5 to 10%. Everybody goes and everybody's happy. Everybody makes money. I don't understand all these things. In this particular situation, I believe that the Mohbad side will be eager to get it. If the Marlian side is eager, if they even open their mouth to talk, I believe Mohbad side will be open to actually concessions and having conversations about the situation. That's all I think about it. I just feel like stop going to courts. Stop going to courts. Stop going to courts. Negotiations, ADR, to be understood.
So why are artists and label situation in Nigeria very messy and shoddy?
Because Nigeria is a poor country, bro. Nigeria is a poor country, one. Nigeria is a poor country, number two, where a lot of people have dreams to make it to the top, but they don't have the resources to make it to the top. And that means for you to make it to the top, you need a big boy somewhere, or an artist somewhere that's willing to foot your bills and willing to put the money on the table. And when that happens, it's just, generally in label artist situations, it's a situation of, shout out to AQ, who said this to me like 2 years ago during an interview. I'm still going to release our interview one of his days. He said, I don't particularly blame any side in that particular situation because what happens is, he said that when it comes down to it, you can understand where the artist is coming from, where the label is coming from, because you signed this contract when you had nothing, and now you have to fulfill the terms of the contract before you go away. It's that simple. But you also understand why the artist is going to be in their feelings. Maybe performance royalties, the revenue split is 70-30. Label gets 70, artists get 30. Now, you have gone past 2 years into the contract. You have now blown up. Now you're making, do you understand? Now you're making 7 million naira per show. It becomes harder for you to drop 70% of 7 million naira because you're looking at, are we seeing all these things now? Why am I dropping? Do you understand? I'm collecting 2.1 million when someone else is collecting 4.9, but you're not thinking about the time that you had nothing. You have to think about the time that you had nothing. So you have to understand it. At the same time, you have to think about where you were at the time that you signed the contract and if you are going to fulfill the terms of the contract. It's that simple. But if the label is breaching terms of the contract, then you can exit. It's that simple.
So in this Naira Marley and Mohbad situation, why do you think they resorted to violence?
Hubris. I think it's hubris. This is 2022, bro. Violence is, bro, come on, man. If that was truly what happened from the accounts, from mobile accounts, bro, come on. You are not Suge Knight, bro. You are not Suge Knight. This is not the 90s. And even in the 90s, there were consequences for stuff like that. You can't be moving like Nigeria. We keep saying that Nigeria is not a something country. But, bro, if that thing goes to court, there are problems for you, bro. You have problems. You have big problems, especially if you are someone that's already on the books of the law for having a situation in 2019. You don't want to aggravate the law again because, bro, you can't put yourself in that light. You simply can't. Either it happened or it didn't happen. Either you were the one that did it or someone in your team. Someone on your team can't do that. You simply shouldn't put yourself in and around conversations like that. You should never do it. Ever. Because you are the one that's going to bear the brunt of it. Now you are the villain. It's not funny, bro. You shouldn't.
So finally, what would you advise the parties in this situation?
I said something the other time about ADR. Just resolve it. There are ways around this. Like I said, nobody's going to win if one party wants to leave and the other party wants to retain them. You're not going to get the best of music. The person is just going to make music for you and leave. Like look at the biggest artist in the world is Drake. The album that he used to get away from, Young Money, was not possibly his worst album. Scorpion. Possible. Like, when it gets to a point that I just want to get out of this situation. You don't want to be there. I mean, the album did have 3 number 1 singles, don't get me wrong, but was it the best album that could have happened at the time? No, it wasn't. Even Certified Lover Boy was better than that album, let's be honest. So I don't think so. I think they need to find a way to use ADR, arbitration, negotiation, conciliation, mediation, or else you are going to be in court for the next 3 years. Like, I can mention some artists who never recovered from artist labor situations. They just never recovered. I don't want to mention names, but I think people can remember some names without me even saying any names. So you don't want to be in that situation. And I hope like some of the biggest people in that space can also rise and have conversations with you guys if they are going to listen. Some of the biggest names in that space, some of the OGs in that space, some of the business people that they hear in that space should be able to step into this conversation and help them settle it. You shouldn't get to court. If someone has to go, then someone has to go. If you have to sign a contract that specifies that you are still making money from the artist, then that should happen. And that's what I think should happen. That's what I'm saying.